Good evening, everyone. So this is the end of the setting up day. My name is Valerie, and I've been involved with the National Honey Show now for over 15 years. And I'd like to introduce you to Roger, our lecture convener, who is going to tell us about what's coming up with the lectures. So Roger, tell us something about yourself and how you ended up here. We all sort of fell into this by accident. What was your accident that fell you into this?
Well, I started keeping bees in 1963, and I believe my first year of keeping bees, I actually went to the National Honey Show, which was at that time in Caxton Hall in Westminster. And I've kept coming most years. I might miss a year or two. And then it moved here to Sandown Park. And I suppose because I've been involved in organising beekeeping events for other organisations, so I was asked if I would be interested in organising the lectures for the National Honey Show. So that's really how I've got involved.
It really helps if you already know a lot of people in the field.
Yeah, I have used up a lot of favours, I can tell you that. Yes, of course it does. And what I've tried to do is make sure, if possible, that I either know speakers or I've heard them before, because you can get recommendations from people, and they may not be as good as some people think they are. Because what we try to do is keep the quality up, and there are plenty of speakers out there, but they're not always speaking from their own experience. Now, we do try to mix things up, so we've got a pretty balanced program. So we've got practical beekeepers, and we've also got some researchers and scientists, and occasionally people in the commercial world. But, yeah, it's actually quite difficult to get a decent balanced program.
So what have you got for us this year?
I'm going to read from my crib sheet, if you don't mind, because there's quite a lot going on.
I was wondering if you'd learnt it all by heart before this chat.
No, I'm a bit too old for that sort of thing. Well, I can learn it, but it doesn't stay there very long. Yeah, we've got 3 days. There's a main program for everybody on every day. There are 5 lectures on Thursday, 4 each on Friday and Saturday. And then there's a program especially for early years beekeepers. Don't particularly like using the term beginners, but people who are in their early years. So I'll just run briefly through them. On Thursday, we've got Jackie Thomas, who has done an awful lot of work on the hornets in Dover in Kent, because of course they've been fired at by these things all the time. And she's done a tremendous amount of work, and what she's trying to do is to explain to us what the latest situation is there.
Because that's where the hornets tend to arrive in the country, isn't it?
Yeah, the thought is that they come over, they fly over the channel, presumably on the wind. Yeah, which is a little bit
the shortest bit of the channel, isn't it?
Yes, it's short. Yeah, but now they're being found in other places as well.
So we'll look forward to hearing an update from them on the position
yes,
during the programme.
There should be, yeah. There'll also be from the National Bee Unit as well, but that's on another day. And then we've got Humberto Boncristiani, who's an American researcher, or he's a researcher in America. He's going to talk about how pesticides harm bees and their keepers. I have to say I haven't heard him, but I've seen video of him, and I think he will give a very good account of himself. Stephen Martin, who is an English researcher, he is basically, I think, the world's leader on varroa resistance. He's been involved, I think, in resistant strains of bees for about 40 years.
So he'll be telling us his progress and his work and
Yeah,
how
not just here,
things are
but
progressing.
in the rest of the world as well, especially in Hawaii and the United States and South America too. So he's leading that. Linda Davis comes from West Wales, probably a marginal area for bees. Of course, it's pretty wet out there. And she'll be talking about beekeeping when the weather and conditions don't play ball, which is a lovely title, I think. But it gives her a lot of scope to talk about the varying seasons and how she probably gets over issues that the weather presents her with.
From her own horrendous experiences.
Yeah. Now, Linda is an NDB, which is the highest qualification in the UK, and I think she's a really good speaker. She just talks in a way that people can understand what she's saying. And then following on from that is Steve Riley, who is from Kent. He is probably the leading practical beekeeper on varroa resistance, and he's recently written a book, probably the top book to read for varroa resistance.
So if you're visiting the show, visit Northern Bee Books because they're bound to have copies there ready.
Yep, and the good thing about that book is that there's a donation that goes to Bees and Development from the cost of it. So that's really good. So it's Thursday. Anyway, do you want me to go on Friday?
Well, to have a quick run through because I'm sure people will want to visit for particular lectures, and it may be that those ones interest them.
Yeah, well, of course, the thing about the National Honey Show isn't just lectures. There's obviously the show itself with the exhibits. There's also the trade area. So it's not just coming listening to lectures. There's lots and lots of things to do. There's also workshops, but I suspect most of those will be booked up.
There are still some places, and the online shop has been closed now, but it's worth asking down at the front desk if you didn't get round to booking online or weren't sure that you'd be coming along. So
I was down there about an hour ago, I suppose, and a lady managed to book in on one of them. So yes.
So it works.
Yeah, that's right. All you need to do is just look in on the website and see if something takes your fancy. Come along and book on. And if there's a free space, nobody's going to turn you down. So Friday is largely varroa resistant based. Stephen Martin again, moving away from mite control. So that's really to try and avoid chemicals if you possibly can. Joe Ibbotson is a very interesting man. He's studying free living colonies in Northampton. I was with him earlier in the year, in spring, and we saw quite a lot of the colonies that he's monitoring, really.
So they work as a team, don't they, on the varroa resistance?
Yes, they do. And then Steve and Joe and Steve Riley will be having a question and answer session. It'll be chaired by Professor Robert Pickard. So we've got some good questions come in, which will hopefully Robert will put to the panel.
So the questions have been pre-submitted.
Yes, they have.
And the team will tackle them, and that will be a really interesting session.
Yeah, it's not always easy to take questions from the floor for something of that nature. It's okay at the end of the lecture because then what's been said is fresh in your mind, and perhaps you can ask the speaker to clarify something. But when you've got several lectures over 2 days, perhaps people haven't seen everything, so they can ask questions beforehand, which is
and hopefully you can pick questions that haven't been already answered in the lectures.
Well, I'm going to let Robert Pickard handle it. So it's whatever he wants to do. You know, it's basically his show, not mine. And then to wrap up Friday will be Humberto Boncristiani again. He'll be talking about honeybee viruses. Quite what I don't know whether they're new viruses or existing ones. I've no idea. But these things tend to get thrown at beekeepers almost all the time. There's always something new that's coming up. So that's Friday.
Right, so there's plenty there for us to listen to and enjoy.
Yeah, there'll be a couple of hours lunch break so people can have lunch, and then of course they can go around the trade shows and buy items that they may or may not want.
I find all sorts of interesting things there. I mean, it's not just things for sale. There's information stands. There's people that you meet from year to year to have a good chat to and go and have a coffee with. That's excellent. Yeah. And on Saturday, we've got the double programme, the main lecture programme and the lectures for newer beekeepers.
And the beginners programme. So the main programme is Humberto Boncristiani again, the world of honeybee health. So he's coming from a scientific background, I think. So I've listened to some of his videos, and I don't think he'll go into it in a way that beekeepers won't understand. I think he'll take the audience with him. Tom Bickerdike, he's the South East Regional Bee Inspector. He will be talking about the yellow-legged hornet again, and we do tend to term it the yellow-legged hornet now rather than the Asian hornet. And really an update. And I spoke to him an hour or two ago, and even today they found another nest.
Wonderful. And AFA have a stand downstairs, so in between times it's possible to go and chat with them and have a look. They've got a beautiful example, haven't they, in that glass case? Yes.
Yeah, whoever made that is a pretty talented person. Tom is. I've known him a long time, and I find he doesn't tend to not hide things from you. He tells you as they are, and of course he's at the moment the greatest activities in his region. So of course that's a lot easier for him to tell us what the updates are. And then Maggie Gill will be talking about Tropilelaps, which is another of these mites that appears to have jumped species, and that is now coming across Europe at a pretty alarming rate. And that is reckoned to be far worse than Varroa. I spoke to a Georgian beekeeper in Appenmonde in Denmark 3 or 4 weeks ago, and in fact videoed him, and he reckoned that if your colony gets infested with Tropilelaps, it's dead within 5 weeks. Now that's not just the managed colonies. Of course, it's the free living colonies as well, the ones in the trees. That personally I think are a very valuable genetic resource. What also he said was that the only way they can control it is to treat with formic acid every 5 days. So
you've got to catch it quickly and act fast. And
but the thing is, though, Val, a lot of beekeepers are weekend beekeepers.
Yeah.
And 5 don't go into 7 very well. So it's
tough regime.
So I would suggest anybody will come along to Maggie's talk and listen to that. She has got other videos online, but of course this is the latest. And Tropilelaps is something that we haven't actually done very much research on, and she's probably certainly leading from the UK point of view, and she spent quite a lot of time out in Georgia doing research out there.
Interesting. Yeah, that will be.
So certainly come along and listen to that. What we ought to say really is that all these lectures on the main programme are going to get recorded, and they will go online at roughly monthly intervals.
Yeah, they'll be released across next year, yes.
What I'll try and do is make sure that that one gets up first, because it needs to be, beekeepers need to know about it during the winter. And of course, the one of the ways it will come in, probably the most likely, is through imports of bees and queens. So we need to try and find ways of reducing the need for the importation of queens.
And there is, in fact, a workshop later this week here at the National Honey Show on queen rearing for the smaller beekeeper.
Yeah.
So we're encouraging people to keep it local.
Yeah. Well, as you know, I'm heavily involved in BIBA, and we've got quite a lot of videos.
BIBA being the British
No, Bee Improvement and Bee Breeders
bee.
Which is a very long title, isn't it?
But British, it's an association for British beekeeping breeders.
Yes, right. Yeah. So,
and they also have a stand here at the show, so you can come along and have a chat with them as well.
Yeah.
And that might include you. Will you be on the stand at all, Roger?
I think I'll probably be in the lectures most of the time. Just making sure that everything's okay. And then finally, Jim Ryan, who's Irish. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but Jim's got a lovely delivery. It's sort of lilting Irish presentation, and he is going to be talking about moving up from small scale beekeeping. So if beekeepers want to perhaps start selling a bit of honey or let's say high products, he will be helping, because I think he runs now, I think he's down to about 40 colonies himself. So of course he's been through it over a long time. I think Jim must have been keeping bees at least 40 years. And he is very, very much a practical beekeeper, and he will help, and I hope encourage beekeepers to move up. It's really sort of increasing what you're doing, but not necessarily in the same way. You've got to cut corners if you're trying to.
So it's the most expedient, efficient way to maximize your beekeeping without losing any of the value and the practicalities. You know, keeping it as secure as you can from the point of view of disease and welfare of the bees.
Yeah, well, Jim, I think, has got a stall at the farmers market, and he doesn't just sell honey. He sells things made with wax, like cosmetics and all sorts of things like that. In fact, Jim is very good at demonstrating them. So that really wraps up the main program. Well, then the lectures. Well, we called it for newer beekeepers. But early years or whatever, perhaps people who get bees up to 5 years or so.
So that's a parallel program on the Saturday.
Yeah, although I spoke a couple 3 years ago now, I suppose, in this newer beekeepers program, and there was a man there who'd been keeping bees 57 years.
So did he have some challenging questions?
And speakers on there, Jim Ryan again, producing drawn comb to improve your beekeeping. That, from a beginner's point of view, is a useful thing to do, because people let you have your bees and they don't necessarily tell you how to get the comb for expanding your colonies. So hopefully he's going to cover that. Andy Pedley, it's called Essential Honey, but really what Andy will be speaking about is for beginners, how to prepare your honey, extract it, bottle it, perhaps if you're going to sell it, complying with the
rules and regulations,
and that sort of thing.
And in fact, he's negotiated a discount for a course on hygiene for beekeepers.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting thing to note.
Yeah. Then Linford Davis, we talk about swarming. I know it's the wrong time of year, but it's basically understanding what's happening inside the colony and how you react to whatever the bees are presenting you with. Yes, it's the wrong time of the year, but it might get beekeepers perhaps reading during the winter or studying during the winter, perhaps looking at some good, sound, sensible videos and working out what they're going to do next year, rather than just panic when the bees come roaring out the front of the hive like a river of mud. And then finally, me, I'm afraid, talking about the honeybee temperament, which I'm hoping I'm going to get some people to speak to.
Good, well, that'll be interesting as well. So thank you very much, Roger. Thank you for listening to all this. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, like us and share on Facebook. And don't forget, of course, to come along to the show and listen to some of these lectures and enjoy everything else that the show has to offer.